Welcome to Mob Talk. Jason Harris guides our live weekly show with numerous automotive experts talking anything and everything automotive. Turn up the volume and let's get ready to rock.
Kick off tonight's chat with our first topic is why in 2021 is there still a stigma of being a car salesman? Anybody like to kick us off?
It's the culture. It's what, movies are about. I mean, I'm reading a book by Daniel Pink, and it's talking about the whole car salesman, with whatever stigma they have attached. It's just easy fodder for that just to stick around. And also it being the second biggest investment, for a lot of people, then it's like Yelp, right? It's either a 5 or a 1 when it comes to cars. So, they have a great experience or their finance, their credit score sucks, but they want to take it out on the dealership. So, and the salespeople.
I think we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, the stigma is still real and alive in some salespeople in some places, right? So, you can do the way I look at it is every time I'm with a client, I try and change their perspective on the whole sales experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, just today, the guy was sitting with, I'm like, okay, so this is the price of the car, blah, blah, blah. And then after he started asking me about warranty, and I started talking to him about the business office, and he turned around and was like, yeah, I know that office, the business office. So, they already know what to expect, and they already know what we do. So the best thing you can do is, like you said, just a 5-star service, and that's it, right?
No, I'm with you on that. I was, when we take a look at things like that, the recent Vroom commercial or Carvana commercials, actually a series of all those commercials that they're doing, they're still making us in the industry look like we're just horribly bad people. And I remember when I first took the job as a salesperson, I bet you it was probably 5 months before I actually admitted to my family, my parents, all right, what I was actually doing. They're like, wow, what are you doing, man? You're making a lot of money all of a sudden. What's going on? Are you selling drugs? No, I'm selling cars. But it's true though. I was early, being a young salesperson, I didn't necessarily want to tell everybody out there that I was a car salesman. And but the funny thing is I think about that, and that's like over 18 years ago. And it's like, shit, that stigma still exists. 18, 20 years later, it's still kind of crazy. And I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out A, why does it exist? And then B, how do we get people comfortable admitting to the fact that, hey, we're car salesmen, it's all cool.
I think a lot of it, guys, and like we get it down here in Australia as well. So don't think that it's just for
it's everywhere, right?
Guys in the US. But I think the big thing that you've got to think about is the life cycle of our clients. And, they're only coming in, like if we're lucky, every 3 years, but a lot of the time it's like every 5 to 7 years. Now, if they've only come in 7 years ago, and realistically, the industry has really only went through a change in terms of our processes, transparency and so on since the internet age really took over. And, some dealers and salespeople can be called out with accountability. Now, I think the thing is that they're still used to, because their last purchase or the purchase was before was from somebody who, in their eyes, pulled the wool over their eyes because they weren't, not that they weren't transparent, but they didn't have the information to be able to check that what they were being told or the way that the sale went through was the norm. So I think that they're always going to be a little bit suspicious in that side of it. But I think over the next 5 years or so, it's really going to change. And if dealerships and if salespeople don't change, they're going to be left behind, because transparency and openness is going to basically push you into the stratosphere of success in the car business now.
Actually, Michael, I love that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great. Jason, is that where we're going with digital retailing? Like, we just signed on with SmartPath. It's a Toyota thing. It's their retailing tool, but it's the same thing. Now that the transparency is there, they could see, how much they're going to spend if they want to accessorize it, and,
Exactly.
they value their trade straight from there. That's where we're headed.
So I mean, that's a good point. Do tools like digital retailing help us kind of combat the stigma of being a car salesperson?
When I was running dealerships down here in Australia, I can tell you now, I tested a month where I was very transparent with a large portion of our clients. And I actually, when we did the 2-part close and, the higher authority close, and people would bring them in to me as the dealer principal and so on, and basically push them over the line, a lot of the time we earned so much more gross and got people over the line when it got to the point where I was actually showing our clients how much we're making out of a deal, because they couldn't fathom that they're spending $40,000, $50,000, and the front end gross commission on that is only $1,500. In their mind, it didn't make sense that a purchase that large, that the salesperson and the dealership had only made so much. And I can tell you now, we had a number of times where people actually asked to pay a little bit more and stop negotiating with us.
Sure.
Because they realised how much our time was worth, and that was only through transparency and actually showing them and educating them about the process of sale, but also about the process of how the business works in the back end and how we make money, and basically to show them, hey, look, in the actual sale point of view, we don't actually make a lot of money. It's more in the kickbacks of the manufacturers and the service department, making sure that we're looking after our clients and we're hitting targets for the back-end bonuses. And a lot of the time on the sale, as soon as they realised that we weren't actually making a lot of money out of it on the front end, I can tell you now our closing ratio went through the roof, and our front-end growth went through the roof as well.
No, look, I agree with you, Michael. I mean, I think I've seen that personally myself in my own dealerships. Is the more and more transparent we became, right? The funny thing is, the more profitable we became. So that's actually a cool question. I'll ask the rest of you guys this and see whatever your guys' thoughts are too. Is it our responsibility then to take ownership of the stigma, and is it our responsibility to communicate more to let's say the general consumer? Look, I agree with you, Michael. I don't think anybody out there realizes that we're dealing with profit margins between 3 to 5%. Like, I don't think anybody, for the most part, most consumers out there know that. So should we be taking on that responsibility and educating the consumer about that?
If we don't, we're going to get left behind.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with that either. I think the other important thing is especially with the new ones that are coming into this business, there's a lot of people in it who feel it's so important that we get it done and get it done today. And
Yes.
They're not looking at the long term. And and all they're thinking is moving a piece of iron, get it done, make as much as you can, because as much as we know the successful people out there in this business today, they're in it long term, and they're in it building with their customers for long term. So it's that persona that's out there of move the iron over the curb today. And you know what? It starts from the top down. All they worry about is moving the iron over the curb today. Move the iron, move the iron. What is the biggest thing is to move the iron.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that earlier on, some people were talking about the non-prime world. The same kind of thing is, make as much gross you can today. Make as much gross you can today. I just looked at a bill of sale tonight that somebody sent me, and you know what? And this was back in 2018, 2019, but you got $1,590 admin fee in Ontario, Jason.
No, I hear you.
Like not $10,000 worth of stuff after with a $20,000 negative equity. But it's a persona that they just take it and hit it and see what they can get out of it, and that puts a bad rap on everybody.
No, it does. Like, I mean, hell, I remember actually stopping one of my finance managers from selling a $70,000 Mitsubishi Lancer. By the way, they don't make a $70,000 Mitsubishi Lancer. just so anybody listening doesn't realize that. So it was just so much negative equity. I had to stop it. Go ahead, Brian. What do you want to say?
Well, it goes back to what Michael was saying. It's like you're going to be left behind, because remember, I mean, I think most of us are 30s, 40s, 50s in here, and where are these guys? And I know it's your topic for later. So what the young people want these days is the transparency, right? And
Yes.
they want to at least follow the culture, or like, what is your brand about? What are you going to be? I mean, sell me, I'll pay for it, but just tell me that you're a better person than that.
So actually, I'm going to ask you guys this question then, because I think everyone kind of agrees here that it is our responsibility to communicate that. And being, for the most part, all right, our marketing efforts is the first point of contact from dealer to consumer. Does our marketing need to change?
Yes.
Oh,
I like that.
That's what I believe.
Thanks, Mike. Let's just do a mic drop. We'll just do yes.
Yes.
There we go. That's the sound bite I needed. Thank you, sir. But no, seriously, guys. Go ahead, Mike. Elaborate.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I knew Joe Flannery. He was our next door neighbor, and he was our car guy.
Nice.
And every car that we bought or had fixed would go through Joe. And that's what's lost, in my opinion, in this car industry. You don't have sales guys that care more about the after sale or the pre-sale, saying, here's my card. If ever you need me for your car, I'm your guy, whether I'm here or anywhere. And that's what's missing. You got a real estate agent from your most important investment being your house. You should have the go-to person for your second most important investment, your car. And that's what's being missing is I call it the flies on shit syndrome. Oh, I got to get it done. What I got to get it done? Oh, I got to get it done. And it doesn't work. And the boots on the ground need to change. But also, too, when I talk to people and as far as GMs and principals, they're looking at me like I have two heads when I'm talking about, hey, your reputation online is just as important as your 30 or 40 or 50-year reputation offline. Mm-hmm. And that's just as important online. And they scratch your heads. How dare you? I've been in business and my family's been in business for. Yeah, you got to wake up and get out of the cave, my friend, because it's a new world out here. And the people that are watching your TV or hearing your radio commercials or hearing you through the Chamber of Commerce or your best friend is telling me, yeah, you got to go check out this new car dealership. And the first place I'm going to is Google. Google's now a verb. It's not Google Gaga when we were all babies. It's Google. And what are they seeing when they're on Google? And that's the determining factor of whether some guys in the car industry are just going to become a commodity or some guys that are going to stand head and shoulders above the rest because of what the consumer sees. Because they're going to perceive what they see on Google page one, your first impression. And that's going to determine where you're going.
I definitely think that Google being one of your first impressions says a lot. And there is some brand recognition when it comes to that because people recognize Google and there's a trust element to it. Brian, I know that your dealership has done actually several videos, I think I've seen around kind of or handling that stigma that as car salesmen we have. Why did those make it into you guys' videos? I mean, that's some pretty big production cost.
Why or how?
Let's go both. Let's do why and how.
Well, you know me, Jason. I mean, and Mike was just expressing how you've been saying that for years in terms of like people don't care about how long you've been in business.
I'm with you.
And it's what they want and how they feel. What are you going to do for them? And with us, we're just trying to portray that. I'm going to lose you guys because I'm in a bad area, so cool. I don't know if you're going to hear that.
No, I can still hear you. You're okay right now.
Oh, okay. But man, it's. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to be that guy, right? And I think a lot of dealerships need that person that is going to help steer the ship in that direction. And my GM gives me a lot of leeway to do things like that. So,
Does he give you the leadway because he sees the ROI in that type of messaging? And the reason I ask is because, you guys put these commercials on TV. You guys put a lot of ad spend behind promoting these videos that you guys put together. I mean, every second of video is worth a very big chunk of coin, to allocate, even 10 seconds of a 30 seconds a piece to say that, hey, we're different. And here's the reason why. That's pretty different because most dealerships won't do that. Most dealerships will focus on the $188 biweekly, the zero down, zero security deposit, $59 weekly. You drive away
right.
today.
Yeah, you know what? Because now, if you've seen our spots, we don't even, because I try to make them like evergreen.
I know.
So we can bring them back. Yeah, for the next season. So there's no call to action, but we still produce those spots, right?
Yes.
And we do them concurrently with that, but we just stick with the branding for that, so we use that. You're right. He sees the ROI, maybe not in terms of dollars, but in terms of people seeing us out in the streets. People coming in the dealership and laughing and saying, "Hey, I saw your latest one. That was great." So it's a branding play, and to get people to talk. I mean, I think that's where we see the return. Plus, when we do sourcing, a lot of it is TV, or we saw it on YouTube or OTT, something like that on streaming.
Hey, Brian, for everyone who's listening, they may not know these videos. Where can they go check them out?
Yeah. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I put everything on LinkedIn, but Valley High Toyota with like you're saying hi, not getting. We got tons of YouTube. Yeah,
Sorry.
That's how I do it.
That's a good motto. I think I would embrace that one.
Yeah, trust me, dude. I'm still trying to work on the Corolla virus video, okay? But that's neither here nor there.
Ideas are floating around this room.
Yeah. So, on YouTube, all of our commercials are on Valley High Toyota.
Nice. Hey guys, for some of you who are just joining us, thank you for taking the time to jump in this room. There are some pretty big rooms going on, so I appreciate you taking some time to check us out. My name is Jason Harris. This is Automotive Talk, a sit down with the strategy mob. Tonight is recorded, so please watch out for your four-letter words. Make sure you fucking use as little as humanly possible. Just kidding. I don't really care. But tonight we have several different topics that we're going to talk about. Right now we're talking about the stigma of being a car salesman. We're also going to be talking about the worst thing a vendor has ever done. I'm excited to go into that one because I got some fish stories for you guys to tell. And then how to process your way to culture, and then also managing your team with emotional intelligence. Hey, I see Charles, Christine, Michael, thanks for taking the time to jam with us. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on how and why, all right, in 2021, are we still dealing with the stigma of being a car salesman? It's okay. All three of you have to jump in at the same time. It's all right. I can be patient.
All right. Well, I don't sell cars, so I don't think I can really speak to this, but it's good to see you, buddy.
What's up? What's going on, Christine? How you doing?
Nice to be here with the fellas. Story of my life, cars, beer, and golf. I should have been a boy.
But hey, Christine, you know what we're talking about here. I mean, like,
I know
you've been in the business for a long time. You know that.
Listen,
go ahead.
Jason, I actually started a little side business on my website. If you go on my website right now, I actually started a little side hustle off the car lady called Don't Buy a Car Without Me. Because I had so many female friends who didn't want to go to the dealership. They feel
is everybody listening to that? Christine was able to start a side hustle because the stigma is real. It's real.
I started a side hustle. I'm making money from these people. I'm showing them the discount on the invoice. I got another call about a car tonight because women want to buy from women, my women friends, and they want education and they don't want nonsense. So I know a lot of women who don't want to go into a store and buy the vehicle on their own. And so
and I know a lot of stores, I wouldn't blame them. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of stores, I wouldn't blame them.
Absolutely. And the process is so long too. Like, typically I always tell people, if you're going to trade your car in and buy a new car, be prepared for a 6-hour day. And so that's why they're paying me to do it for them. So essentially I said, well, listen, don't buy a car without me. You pick out the car you want. I'll go in and turnkey your deal. And that's what I've been doing for people, because it's a great way to get exposure for myself. But I think most of my women friends just they want things explained to them, and they want it clear.
They want someone they can trust. A lot of people
don't understand. They want somebody they can trust. They don't understand what these incentives are. They don't understand what the buyback value is. They don't understand. Some of them don't even understand leasing. Listen, my own daughter didn't know what MSRP stood for.
Well, okay. Well, I'll take some ownership of that. I mean, for crying out loud, she does work.
She didn't know what it meant. Yeah, that's right. It's only your damn fault.
That's my fault. I'll take ownership of that one.
Yeah. We went into a store and I said she wanted to buy a car, and I said, okay, drive 4 models. Here's 4 dealerships I work with in your town. We always butter our own bread. And she went into the store and she finally found the one she liked. And I came down to help her. And we went into the store and the guy said, I said, well, how much is the car? And he said, well, it's $27,495. And my daughter piped up. She said, that's great. I'll take the blue one. And I said to her, do you know what MSRP stands for? Like, we're not paying full pop for a car. She didn't understand a thing about it. And she's 20. She was 20 at the time, I guess.
Oh, okay. So this is before she worked for me. Okay, then I feel much better now.
Before she worked for you. Yeah. Yeah. But, these young people today, they don't know about, they don't know how 100%. It works. They're always bringing their dad in. And I can't tell you the number of times even I went in to buy a car and they spend all their time talking to my husband.
You know what? I'd love to kind of get everyone's you hear what Christine had to say there. And I'd love to kind of get everybody's kind of thoughts on that. I mean, she's been able to start a side hustle because the stigma is so real.
Christine, this is Mike speaking. I absolutely love that. My mother is smiling down from heaven because, my mother was the one that got me into cars.
Nice. Okay, I want to hear the story. Can we go? Because that's cool. I love hearing how people got into the business. So I want to hear that story real quick before you answer.
Sure. My mom was controller of Sayville Ford, which is New York's largest Ford dealership.
Yeah, it is.
On Long Island. And remember, we had the demo car every single year, from the Tempo to the Taurus to the Windstar to the Bronco 1, Bronco 2, and everything in between. She's the one that got me into cars. She was in the car industry so long that she called invoice tissue to kind of see where her age was. Back when you called, all right, Elliot, go, Batman bed. Go, baby. 3, 2, 1, go. Sorry, my 5-year-old is...
Dude, no worries.
Time for bed. And he's very much into cars like Daddy is. Good night, baby. Put him on. Hey, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Want to say good night?
Good night.
Goodbye.
Good night, kiddo.
That's my 5-year-old. All right.
That's
I love you, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So my mom was controller of Sayville Ford for many years. She was in the industry for 20 years. And then she, I guess, retired and became stay-at-home mom when my brother and I were growing up. But she taught me everything. And when I went to go buy my first car when I was 17 years old, I didn't take my dad, I took her.
Nice.
And it was magic watching my mom make rookies cry. They're like, oh, who's this old lady that I'm just going to take advantage of and just slap on everything? She doesn't know about hold back. Like, you're making $100, buddy, and that's it. We're walking out.
That's awesome.
So she got me into car, and I'm not even a car salesman. I'm a voiceover who's voiced hundreds of car commercials. That's my shtick. I've voiced over 300 commercials for dealers and regional spots for 10 different brands. But
Have you done a voiceover for me? Because your voice does sound familiar.
I have not done a voiceover for you.
All right, you need to do one for me.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna screenshot your profile real quick. I'm gonna have now my video guy reach out to you. You're gonna do some voiceovers for us.
We're absolutely gonna do that. Yeah. Do you know the Pandemic of Positivity boys?
Yes.
That whole gang. Carson Henry, Brad Pascal.
Oh, did you do that?
So Carson hired me to do some spots for a couple of his sales guys. So there's
very cool.
There's a young kid. He's like 25, 26 years old. I think he's maybe a year or two into sales. He works at Town Center Nissan in Kennesaw, Georgia. And he goes by Sweet Ride Clyde. You know, the cute little nickname to separate himself from the other Nissan reps in Atlanta. And we were talking about doing, his voicemail over. And I said, yeah, I said, Sweet Ride Clyde. It just sounds very Barry White, 70s.
Yes, it totally does.
Stuff. And Carson was like, you're going to do the voicemail and I'm going to pay you for it. And I said, great. So I wrote a script. I gave him two options with two different music beds along with it, and had a grand old time making it. So it was fun. I love hanging out with car. I don't hang out with voiceover folks on Clubhouse. I hang out with car folks.
Well, you know what, Michael? Definitely make sure that you DM me. We edit and produce around 100 to 150 dealership videos across the country, and we use many different voiceover people. But I dig your voice, man. Let's do some stuff. Hey guys, I'm just gonna reset the room real quick, or maybe I should let Michael reset the room because he is the voiceover guy. Michael, you want to reset the room for us real quick?
So do we want it in like old school corny?
Let's do it. Yeah, like, typical.
Now.
Yes, like
Okay.
like come down, have a hot dog, show up for the big monster trucks and the petting zoo.
Sunday. That type of shit.
Absolutely, man. Whenever you're ready, you go for it.
You're listening to Automotive Talk, a sit down with the strategy mob. This clubhouse room is currently being recorded, so mind your fucking P's and Q's. Now back to our host, Jason.
Oh, that's always awesome. I got chills. That was awesome.
That was worth the recording alone.
Wasn't it? Guys, that was totally worth it. Michael, you rock. Thanks, man, for coming in and jamming with us.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. Hey, Charles, what's going on, man? I know you got some thoughts and opinions on this, and before I change the subject, I want to make sure that I throw you in there because I'd love to hear from you. Charles, the current topic right now is, hey, it's 2021. There's still a stigma about being a car salesman. The question is why and how do we overcome?
Yeah, this is a topic I deal with every day. And I love what Christine said. You know, great examples. I had a lady, she's retired. You know, she planned out, she loves cars. And she planned out kind of how she wanted to own her cars. She trades every 3 years because that's her magic number.
Nice.
And we get to talking. I just met her in service department, just asked her how her day was going. And it was a beautiful day out. We were walking around on the lot just talking. And she started talking about how she traded her car every 3 years. I'm like, huh. I'm like, so do you like finance them or, you know, I'm like, good Lord, if you finance them, you've got to be getting to a stopping point at some point. And she's like, no, I pay cash for them. I'm like, huh. Wow. So then I pulled up her service record. So she drives less than 10,000 miles a year.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, wait a minute. How long have you been doing this? She's like, oh, I've done this probably 9 or 10 times. I'm like, we need to go inside. I'm like, where have you been buying your cars? She's like, oh, here and there. You know, I switch back and forth brands sometimes. I'm like, oh, my God. I said, have you ever talked about leasing? No. Should I do that? I'm like, yes, very much so. She's like, no one's ever mentioned that to me. So we sat down, and for 2 hours, I answered every question she could even think of leasing versus retail versus paying cash. And I'm like, yeah, this is like you are burning money at the stake by buying all these cars and not putting any miles on it. You're paying cash and they're depreciating like crazy. And because she doesn't get high-end models, she gets high incentivized models. So they depreciate even faster. And so it was just, she was flabbergasted that I took the time to spend 2 hours with her. She didn't buy a car. I didn't even care if she bought a car at that point. I just wanted to stop the madness. And, she was...
Stop the madness is right? I mean... Years, that woman has been financially abused. And you want to know why people don't want to come in and buy anything?
There you go, Christine. That's why there's a stigma.
It's a fine example.
Yep, 100%.
Exactly. But I always tell people, whether it's a guy or a gal, an older person or a younger person, whether they're buying their 20th vehicle, if they're a commercial customer, it doesn't matter who they are. I always lead every interaction off. Look, this is who I am. This is my experience. I'm here to answer any questions you have. And at the end of the day, I don't care if you buy a car from me or not, as long as we walk away friends and we're both happy with the resolution.
Exactly.
That's it.
I love
and it. I have such an amazing people. Most of my, it's crazy. A lot of my clients are older women. I'm talking 50, 60 plus years old, because I make them feel comfortable. I will sit there and answer every question that they want to ask. I don't rush them. I don't push them. If they want to buy the car at the end of the day, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Because for me in my business, what I look at, I don't look at it as a lost car deal. I look at it as that person is now, even if they decided that wasn't the best option for them, they're going to tell everybody they know about their experience.
100%.
And so
she's going to tell everybody.
Yeah. Well, and she, the lady I was talking about with the lease, she's like, "Oh, I need to tell my son to come up here and talk to you about the same thing. He's kind of in the same boat." I'm like, "Oh my God." You guys are, man, you guys have been hoodooed for a long time, but
no kidding.
It's crazy. It is a stigma, and I think a lot of times it's just, and I ran into it with my sales manager today. We switched to a new CRM, and one of the things I've been pushing for is I want a lease pencil in every deal. If it even remotely makes sense, I want a lease pencil.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I'm like, look, one, you can still make money on a lease. Two, I'm tired of dealing with negative equity after negative equity after negative equity deal.
100%.
And with people that should not have negative equity. At some point, I'm going to run out of customers because they need 20 grand down to get out of the ride.
I'm with you, Charles. I think that's an amazing way to be able to, and actually it's a good reason why we still have the stigma, is because there are dealerships out there that are willing to take advantage of very kind, very, very pleasant people like that customer that you met. And I think that's an amazing way also to kind of how to overcome that, is to be completely transparent about your time. Look, time is money. Time is important to everybody. All right. If you're transparent about, hey, I'm as a salesperson, I'm going to give you as much time as you need, not the other way around. I think that goes a long ways to changing the stigma of being a car salesman.
Thanks for tuning in to Mob Talk. Feel free to like, follow, comment, or get a hold of me with any ideas for new content on future shows. Be sure to check out more amazing automotive content from our Strategy Mob captains and crew at strategymob.com.